Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Power Core Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, Javon Harrington, back to hit you with another video. And today, as always, every Tuesday afternoon or evening, depending on where you are, we're going to be doing the Chainsaw Man anime review. This week's episode 7, The Taste of a Kiss. But first, as always, if you are new to the channel or if you're a regular and you like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. But anyway, getting straight into the review, where we last left off with our story of Chainsaw Man, Denji and his friends were trapped in the hotel by the Eternity Devil, which gave them the ultimatum of giving up Denji or killing him to spare the lives of everyone else. Despite everyone in the group protesting to have Denji killed, we see that Aki is going out of his way to keep Denji alive. Mainly because Aki believes in Denji's power and that having someone like him will get him closer to his dream of killing the Gun Devil. But also you can see that it's mainly because Aki and Denji kind of have that brotherly relationship. And one thing that I didn't bring up in last week's review that I've been wanting to bring up for a while now, and that is that there are a lot of animes that I feel, not all of them, but a few recently that have sort of done their own version of like the Naruto Team 7 kind of trope, like your three-man team, you have your over loud sort of character like Denji or Naruto or Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen. Then you have your female leader like Nobara or Sakura, or in this case Power, and then you kind of have what's basically been dubbed as the Sasuke of the group with Sasuke himself, and then you have Megumi, and then you have Aki here. So I really do see that kind of dynamic, although I would say Chainsaw Man does it a lot differently, mainly in the sense that our trio, even though you could say that they work as a team, they definitely have their quirks that make them stand out, and none of the trios are actually the same, mainly being that of the three trios, the two female leads for Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man are actually liked. And while I'm not the type of person that wants to rag on hating Sakura, you do know that there are people that love her, people who hate her, people who are indifferent. So you have what you have there. But anyway, we pick up where we left off with Denji revving up the engine, so to speak, turning into Chainsaw Man and jumping into the mouth of the Eternity Devil. And this pretty much starts a never-ending fight because the Devil of Eternity is the master over Eternity, basically endless assaults, endless attacks, and it's basically just a matter of who has more of a will to live. And again, I know I keep harping on the theme of dreams, but I would say that one more aspect you see is the idea of endurance with this fight. It's mainly a matter of who wants it more, you know, and I feel like with a lot of these battles, that's kind of what it comes down to. It's like the drive and determination. It's how far are you willing to go to achieve what you want to achieve. For Denji, in this particular moment, he's fighting to get a kiss from Himeno. Now, on the surface, many people would say that that's a stupid dream, stupid wish, stupid idea. But for Denji, that's all the motivation he needs, and it ends up proving to be his strength. And we even see Himeno helping him when he falls in battle. She uses her ghost arm to grab the cord and pull it in his chest to rev up the chainsaws and give him the second boost that he needs as he continues hacking away until eventually he gets the victory and slays the Eternity Devil. Once that's done, the group is able to escape and leave the hotel, which, as you would have assumed, while a lot of time would have passed for them on the inside because time stood still, when they left, it was basically at the same time as when they went in. And also, they did accomplish their goal in getting another piece of the Gun Devil that they are collecting so that they can potentially find it. Now, after the mission is a success, we then have Himeno and Aki who are on a mission, and Himeno basically suggests that the entire group goes out for dinner to try to smooth things over, mainly because Ari and Kobeni are feeling really guilty about trying to kill kill Denji off, even though she admits she tried to do it herself. And she essentially explains that in this line of business, it's not for the faint of heart. And we see a flashback with Himeno and with her master, who we'll see more of going forward in the story. And you see that in this line of business, the reason why it's so difficult being a devil hunter is because people have fears. People are scared, and devils, they feed off of fear, and that's how they get stronger. So that's why it's suggested that the people who are kind of unstable, the ones who have the zero fucks to give, who can just go into anything at the drop of a hat, that they make the best hunters because they have no fear. So you kind of see that dynamic play out with Himeno thinking about the likes of her partner in Aki, and she thinks about Denji, and she gets that feeling because they're two people who above anyone else go into battles without fear, and it's because of that they are the strongest and are possibly the most capable of taking out the Gun Devil. But anyway, the episode pretty much changes over into a much more chill atmosphere and tone as we see the members of the Special 4th Division all go out to a barbecue/bar and grill to basically just have camaraderie and have a good time trying to get to know one another. You have Denji, who's still waiting for that kiss, that special kiss that he wanted from Himeno, and we also see Makima making her arrival. One thing that also is a standout for this episode is that you start to see people questioning Makima's motives. And that's mainly because Aki brings up the fact that in the show, next week, she's going off on a trip to Kyoto. And you have Himeno bring up the fact that Makima is normally the type of person who travels around doing a lot of things. But ever since Denji came on the scene, she's been spending a lot more time in Tokyo. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys because, as I've already said, I've read ahead in the manga, and I know that there are going to be some people who haven't read ahead in the manga. So, I'm not going to spoil anything, but yes, there is a reason why Makima has been staying in Tokyo a lot. Yes, it has to do with Denji, but there's a lot more to it than that. But it's just nice to point out that you have the other characters who are taking notice of this and are actually bringing it up because it's something that's out of the ordinary for her. But anyway, we get to the eventual get-together. We have everyone at the bar and grill, basically ordering food and being more relaxed in a relaxed setting. And you see Kobeni, she shows up. You see Ari, he shows up. And they're feeling a little, down. They kind of don't know if they should be here or not. But Denji, he's more or less cool with everything. It doesn't really bother him at all. And you kind of understand the reason why when you think about Denji's mindset, the way that he lives, being used or being betrayed, something along those lines. It really doesn't bother him all that much. But I would say the main reason is because Denji kind of understands why they felt the way that they did. Because out of everyone there, Denji is one of the few who was strong enough to handle himself in that situation. And we also learn another bit of interesting fact. We learn that Ari and Aki both have the same contract with the Fox Devil. Now, we also learn here that the devils in particular can make contracts with multiple humans depending on their mood, but that the fox in particular is friendly towards humans, so it has no problem making contracts with multiple humans. Aki even says that the fox, among most of them, have a lot of contracts with a lot of people, and you would understand why, mainly because by working with the devil hunters in particular, Fox Devil is able to eat up other devils in combat, so it makes sense in that regard why it would want to work with the humans. And so from here, you kind of see everyone, chill, having their own individuality brought out to the forefront. You kind of get to understand how everyone is and how they behave. And you also see Makima makes her arrival, before she leaves. And you see how she's particularly interested in Denji. And Denji is sort of, bit of a caught up of a situation, so to speak, mainly because he still wants his kiss from Himeno, but at the same time, he doesn't want Makima to see. So you kind of get that mixed feelings within Denji, He finds interest in other girls, but it's Makima that he keeps being drawn back to, and you kind of see a little bit of possessiveness with Makima, if you will, mainly because she's just paying a lot of attention to the dynamic between Himeno and himself. And I will say there is a very good reason for that you will learn going forward, and it's a messed up one. But other than that, though, there's a lot more messed up to this situation. It mainly comes in the fact that Aki ends up asking more about Denji to Makima. Mainly that instead of trying to investigate or go behind her back or do anything like that, Aki just straight up asks if there's anything special about Denji that she hasn't told him. And Makima, to her credit, she says that she'll tell them if they can outdrink her. Now, this is something that I'm not going to spoil for you guys because, again, there are people who probably haven't read the manga. But the basic premise of the drinking contest, that will explain a lot later on in this series. So pay close attention to the drinking contest because Makima, she ends up winning by like a landslide. Outdrinks everyone. But again, pay close attention to the drinking scene. That will come into play much later in the story, and it will make a lot more sense when you understand, because what Makima did during the drinking scene, even though you don't know it now, it's really horrifying and messed up. So pay attention to that. Anyway, everyone's pretty much drunk out of their minds. Denji, he's thinking pretty much about that kiss, and he finally gets it. Well, sort of. Himeno, in her drunken state, pulls Denji into a kiss, and he thought he was about to get everything he wanted, but he got quite the opposite as she ended up barfing in his mouth. And Power, still best girl of the show, is just laughing her ass off because she knows Denji better than anyone, at least to the point of knowing that he'll eat anything that's nutritional, so he ends up eating the barf, only to end up barfing it later, which is absolutely gross. But when you understand why he did what he did, it's all the more sad. Like, seriously though, the guy had the worst conditions growing up. I mean, he was eating burgers out of the garbage kind of bad. So you kind of understand why he has that mindset of never letting anything. It's not about just even letting food go to waste. Anything that's nutritional value, he's not going to let go to waste. So you see just how broken of a character Denji is. The fact that he's so broken that his mind instantly thinks to eat barf because he just wants to eat substance, because he never knows where his next meal is going to be. And when you've lived in a situation where you truly do not know where your next meal is going to be, you kind of see how that's a habit that's hard to break. Even when you get into a new situation, when you get comfortable and everything else, you know, you still have a tendency to kind of live the old way you used to, because it can be hard. It's hard to get comfortable in a new situation when things are getting better, when things are looking up, mainly because when you've been down for so long and there's nowhere to go but up, you still might think of yourself as down. So you're starting to see Denji acclimate himself into a proper society. You see how bad off he is in the fact that he doesn't even have basic education. He can hardly read. So you know he can hardly read or write. He only knows his name. And even though he says he's 16, he can only guess that number, mainly because he never really had a chance to go to school or live a normal life. So you kind of see Denji trying to readjust as his life is ever changing. But anyway, the drinks, the good times, they come to an end, and everyone is eventually going and on their way home. And Denji, who's pretty much passed out from his night of fun, gets taken home with Himeno. And at the end, you get some real nice spice. Denji waking up late at night in a bed, doesn't even recognize where he is, and then you get a nice POV of Himeno straddling on the sack, if you will, and she slips him a second kiss with alcohol. And so Denji, he's just going through everything. He's gaining more and more amazing experiences with every passing week. And I will say, even though Power is best girl, and I will not argue, and there will be no discussion, Himeno is definitely another favorite of mine, and she is truly a nice character in a lot of ways. But still though, I have a thing for the rough girls. You already know, black hair, well, GG's. But anyway, overall, I think this was yet another good episode. Not so much in terms of there being immediate action or everything else, but it does have a nice balance of having action and having the cool down scenes, and you're still able to be engaged with everything all in all. Now, granted, the show's action is going to pick up as we go along, so there's no escaping that, and the animation quality is still top tier. MAPPA is definitely doing a good job with this series so far. And I think when season 1 ends, if there's any debate about if there's going to be a season 2, I think with the way season 1 has been so far, if it keeps this level of consistency up until the 12th and 13th episode, there's not going to be any doubt. We are definitely going to be getting a season 2, probably sooner rather than later. Although then again, this is MAPPA Studios, the same studio that basically waited almost a year and a half, almost 2 years before doing Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, which is supposed to be coming out in 2023. And you already know the type of budget that goes into that, especially since we're going into the Shibuya arc. So you already know that they take their time with this. So in all likelihood, with the next season, we probably won't get it until 2024. Unless it comes super late in 2023, we probably won't be getting Chainsaw Man Season 2 until 2024. So they're definitely going to be taking their time. They're definitely doing it right. Animation was good. Voice acting was good. Quality, all that. Definitely an enjoyable episode. And looking forward to the next one, that being episode 8. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's review. Stay tuned for next week as we cover episode 8 of Chainsaw Man. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.